Welcome to Inside Carbondale. This is the podcast that brings you the latest information about projects and events going on in Carbondale. I'm Amy Fox, the city's public relations officer, and I'm joined by Jeff Davis, the finance director for the city of Carbondale, and Gary Williams, the Carbondale city manager. Today we're talking about the city's budget for the 2018 fiscal year, which begins on May 1st. And first off, when does the budget process begin?
The budget process kicks off in the finance department early to mid-November. We start by projecting out salary and benefit costs for the current year and preparing budgeted amounts based upon union contracts and personnel changes. Simultaneously, we work on revenue projections, accounting for any known changes, such as the new food and beverage tax and packaged liquor taxes.
And what steps does the city have to take before a budget is ready for city council approval?
Yeah, Amy, it's not only the process itself of determining what our costs are going to be in the upcoming fiscal year, and then what our projected revenue is going to be. It's also trying to align the goals of the council, the goals of the city, with those financial resources. So we go through a process with staff to have every department look at the things they're doing over the next year, their work plans, and try to align all those resources with council's goals. So the budget isn't just a financial document; it's also a policy document. So we try to make sure that we cover both sides of it.
And since this is a very intricate process, it can often be very lengthy too.
Yeah, it can be lengthy. It starts, those meetings as far as upcoming plans for the year occur, well before the end of the year, and then the actual budget meetings start into January, and we usually wrap up like mid-March.
How is the city's budget structured?
We're structured based upon the different funds. So in other words, we've got the general fund, we've got special revenue funds, we've got other governmental funds such as our community investment program and our debt service fund. And then we've also got our business type activities, your water and sewer, parking, solid waste, rental properties funds. Those funds are budgeted based upon the fact that they're enterprise funds.
There's obviously a lot of different parts that make up the city's budget, but with so much uncertainty surrounding the state's financial situation, is it really difficult to begin to plan for the future?
It is. We did a study a few years ago, and what we found was for every college student that's in Carbondale, they spend about $10,000 annually, and those are expenditures exclusive of rent and any tuition, so any university-related expenses. So as the enrollment has declined over the years, obviously there's been a huge financial impact to the city of Carbondale. With the ongoing budget impasse, the effect it's had on social services, many of our agencies in and around Carbondale have had hiring freezes, positions have been eliminated, hours have been reduced, and so all of those issues have an effect on spending in Carbondale. And so it's difficult for us at times to project exactly how much revenue we're going to have in the future. So it is a difficult process.
And as a result, has the city had to make any major changes to the upcoming budget?
We have. The largest change in this year's budget is probably the addition of the food and beverage tax and the packaged liquor tax. These new taxes were passed by the council this past summer, and the monies are being brought in are going to fund additional community investment and also to provide additional funding for the public safety pension funds.
And what are some of the city's financial goals for the next fiscal year?
Well, I think earlier you touched on the fact of a lot of the uncertainty with the state. So at this point, I would say our main goal is to make sure our expenditures are in line with the revenue that we're hoping to receive in the next fiscal year. So we're trying to be very conservative in the way we're budgeting. We're also at the same time, we are trying to align our resources with council goals. So many of those goals rely on beautifying the city, making it a more attractive place. Obviously, there's always an emphasis on public safety. So we've hit some of those key areas. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is make sure we live within our means, that we don't dip into our fund balances, and that we don't make any kind of decisions that has a long-term negative financial impact to the city.
Why is it so important for the community to understand this budget process?
Well, it's been said that citizens can affect and are affected the most by their local government, what local government does. And this is true in Carbondale. Our city provides a multitude of services to its citizens and its visitors, from public safety services to code enforcement to water and sewer and trash and recycling. All of the costs and revenues generated for these services are listed in our city budget.
And I would also add to that too. It's the transparent nature of our city. We work really hard to make sure that we don't hide anything through the process. It's important to us that the citizens know that we're good stewards of the public dollars. We spend a lot of time for 2.5 months meeting with every individual department and scrutinizing literally the costs down to the dollars, under $100. So in the context of a $26 million general fund budget and $56 million overall total funds, it's that's a lot of diligence, I think, on city staff's part. So we just want to make sure that everybody understands the process and understands that we will also listen to them if they have questions, concerns. We want people to fully understand where their public dollars are going.
And if residents would like to take a closer look at this new budget, where can they go to view it?
On the front page of the city's website, www.explorecarbondale.com, there's a link below the mayor and manager's commentary section to the financial overview page. The current proposed budget is available for review, as well as the past 9 budget and year-end financial reports, or CAFRs.
And is there anything else you'd like to add, anything you'd like to clarify for residents to have a better understanding of the city's budget?
Well, I think one of the things Jeff touched on earlier, we do have a number of different funds, and I think one of the things that sometimes gets confused with people is how those individual funds work. So the main fund that we work with is our general fund, and all those revenues come from sales taxes, property taxes, and all those normal governmental fees that people usually associate with city government. But there are also the other funds like water and sewer, parking fund that they're self-supporting funds. So they're their own separate enterprises, and many times when the public might see purchases around the city, or they might see dollars being spent in certain areas, there's sometimes a misconception that that's wasteful tax dollars or whatnot. But the reality is a lot of things we do around the city are as part of these enterprise funds. So it's its own self-sustaining, self-supporting system that really operates outside the realm of traditional tax dollars. So it's a little distinction I think is important. But again, I think that it speaks to the need for folks to get involved and have a better understanding of how the city's budget works and how their tax dollars are distributed.
And one thing I do want to point out, obviously this is a very lengthy and in-depth process, but it's something the city's done really well over the last 20 plus years. Recently, the city of Carbondale received a big financial award.
Correct. We just received the GFOA's award for our comprehensive annual financial report, which ended April 30th of 2016. That award is given to governments who perform well with transparency and providing a document that looks backwards and forwards, and it's a plan. It's a real prestigious award, and the city's gotten it for in excess of the last 24 years.
How does that make you feel to receive such a large award, knowing that this is such a stressful and long process?
The CAFR is a long process. The budget is definitely longer, at being 5 months. The CAFR takes us about 3 months. But a lot of that effort is split between just not only the finance department, but our audit firm, Kerbereck and Breckel. They do a great job in coming in and giving us an audit and showing us that we do the proper job of accounting for people's money here in Carbondale.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us today, and we hope all of you will join us next time for another episode of Inside Carbondale. Have a great day. If you have feedback or have ideas for future podcasts, feel free to email me at afox@explorecarbondale.com.